Ahoy, mateys! Welcome back to a sea voyage-laden episode of Loathsome Things, a horror movie podcast. I have no idea what I'm talking about, as usual. My name's John, as usual. And as usual, with me is my copper co-host, Yosh. Yosh, how are you doing, sir?
Arr! Avast ye!
Arr, matey!
What a good theme to talk about this movie. What contains nary a pirate?
Grab ye, slicker!
I'm a Highlander of the sea.
There can be only one.
There can be only R.
For some reason, I sound like Gilbert Gottfried. There can be only one.
Rest in peace, Gilbert.
Yes, you foul, foul man. Well, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing quite well, John. I'm loving watching movies. I actually enjoyed researching this movie. Just before we got started, I started digging around in some things, and I was like, I'm sure that sounded great for our listeners. So yeah, I'm having fun with horror movies. I'm having fun in life, and things are swell. I am happy with the state of our society, and everything's just coming up aces all around.
Oh wow, that's fantabulous.
Yeah. How about you?
I'm doing fine. Most of that stuff, pretty much the same. The world is a wonderful place.
It's good.
Very happy to be a part of this time right now.
Mm-hmm. You know, I've always found the world to be a little bit too cold, and you know, it's been a pleasant change.
Yes, it has cozied up a bit, and I like it. I like where this is heading. Nothing bad could come of any of this.
No. You know, I've always felt that, your electric bill is kind of like voting. It's your civic duty to pay your electric bill.
Right.
Almost as if it were taxes.
Yeah.
And really, the more you could pay for that would actually be better.
Sure.
In fact, the more you pay for your electric bill, the better of a person you are.
That's true. I think that's very mature of you to think that way.
All right, now let's talk about this movie about boobs.
I have selected a summer classic.
Oh, yeah.
And since you all know what it is, I don't have to, drag it around. But it's I Know What You Did Last Summer from 1997, directed by Dizzy Gillespie.
Yes, Dizzy Gillespie, famously the only movie he ever directed.
The only bebop slasher ever made.
Yes.
Okay, Jim Gillespie, a Scottish guy who made a bunch of shit.
Not a whole bunch, though.
Just,
if I remember correctly, a kind of short list of garbage.
Some movie called Venom? Or Toxic?
But not that one.
Yeah, not that one. Not the other terrible one.
Not that one either.
Then he made some other one that I already hadn't heard of, and then a bunch of shit that... Not even a bunch, just a few odds and end things, like when you go to IMDb and there's always those projects that have no picture and they're not really sure if those are actual credits. He had a few of those.
The Sylvester Stallone movie, I See You, spelled E-Y-E.
Remember that? That knocked that one out of the park.
Oh, man, yeah. Do I remember that one? Is that what you asked? Because no.
Not at all. I don't remember it either. I didn't even know that was a movie. One of the weird things about this movie is that the script was written by the same fucking guy who wrote Scream, which just blows my mind. I mean, I personally don't care for Scream, but it's better than this. I'll give it that.
It is much better than this, and I will say I did get to watch the most recent Scream on a plane, which is really where you should watch a movie like that.
Sure.
And it was actually really good. I liked that Scream was always so meta horror, like it was very referring to the tropes of the slasher genre. And with 6, I don't know, I'm sure all of them have this element, but with 6, it was all meta Scream. It was like people that had survived the previous Scream movies talking about, okay, well, this is how this is going to play out. Now think about your set of friends. Which one meets this criteria? That's probably the one that's been killing people. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fun. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's great.
That's fine. But this movie, no, not this movie.
No, this is a dial-by-the-numbers, tit-laden, teen slasher throwaway movie with way too much money behind it and a usually absolutely terrible soundtrack.
Yeah. Oh, man, yeah. Every once in a while, the soundtrack is, like, really grooving, and then it's just that someone horrible changed the channel of the radio.
It's like it starts, and you get this camera flying through this beach landscape scene, and you're rocking out to Typo Negative doing Summer Breeze. I was like, this is going to be great.
And I will say, like, there's even a little bit of meta humor there, because at a certain point, one of the characters causes a car wreck because he's changing the radio station because he exclaims, "This music sucks."
There was some moments of levity that were actually okay, and but this movie, it could have been at least fairly entertaining at best. It was never going to be a good movie. The script is terrible. Or if anything, at the very least, it's just too dial by the numbers. I mean, there's just nothing really that unique about it. I mean, the setting I thought was kind of cool, but they didn't really use it properly, and the acting is just atrocious. Everyone is overacting in this show so badly. I don't understand. Like, the director was like, yeah, that was fairly believable. Could you kick it up like 10 notches?
Yeah. Could you just go ahead and, even though, like, I know your character, you don't feel like your character would in this situation, but could you just go ahead and scream inappropriately in his face?
I was just gonna say. That's the replacement for any emotion, is screaming.
Just scream. Yeah. So this, to that point, to the point of, like, how far this misses the mark, this was written by the same guy as Scream, but it was after he wrote this before Scream, and then Scream was such a hit that they rushed this into production. They got some nobody to direct it, and they just, like, poured a bunch of movie, like, all of the teen heartthrobs are in this movie. But Kevin Williamson, the screenwriter of this and of Scream, also was the screenwriter for The Faculty. He also was the screenwriter for Wes Craven's Cursed, starring Christina Ricci.
Ugh.
Yeah. Oh, that cast list here. No, it's Christina Ricci, Jesse Eisenberg, Portia de Rossi, Joshua Jackson, Nick Offerman, Judy Greer, and Scott Baio.
Jesus, I've never even heard of that movie.
I've never heard of this movie, and it is just studded.
Wow. This movie, it's based off a Lois Duncan novel, for a teen novel, which I suspect that the book is probably better than the movie.
Maybe so, yeah. And this was right at the beginning. This writer dude is the creator of Dawson's Creek.
Dawson's Beach. Figures.
This came out, like, right around the time that Dawson's Creek was starting. It might have even been, like, a year before. I don't know. But, so this is, like, the Dawson-y creakiest of horror movies.
And he would be perfect for Dawson's Creek. Like, just the ridiculously campy acting and the absolutely vapid storyline that, just a bunch of rich, semi-good-looking kids just acting like douchebags. Like, that's his wheelhouse.
That's his thing, and this was him flexing those muscles. Not as a director, though, just the guy that wrote this. And like you said, the story is very paint by numbers, of almost kind of like a giallo. Like if you took a Dawson's Creek style relationship drama and smooshed it into, like, more classic giallo style slasher movies, that's this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because there's a fair amount of violence in it, I guess. There's like a little bit of blood, not so much gore necessarily, but all of that violence feels like it's just tacked on to give it like an R rating or something. Like it's not particularly compelling. It doesn't really need to be there. It's almost like this is the kind of movie that doesn't need the violence. Like, just keep it teeny and focus on the boobage more, and then I don't know if that's even possible.
Yeah, man, this movie loves to showcase the breasts.
Yes, a couple of them in particular, but yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and it's not, I don't want it to sound like it's, Kevin Williamson's fault, the screenwriter, because this movie is, what good elements there are in the script are just completely obliterated by incompetent directing, bad editing, and also not very good acting all the time.
It just doesn't. Yeah, it's like they have this oceanside setting. They have some interesting ideas, but that never really pans out. It never has its own feel. It never really develops any particular atmosphere. It's pretty rote. Like you said, it's tepid.
Yeah, it's tepid. It's all of the like story hook elements, like it's like a detective story. They're trying to solve a mystery, but the little clues that they find are just so instantly forgettable that whenever those things come back around, you're like, what?
Yeah.
Who?
Plus, there's a lot of really weird lines, things that people would never say, that just really take you out of it. Especially Jennifer Love Hewitt's lines. She's got a lot of really strange lines that are just... I don't know if it was because she's supposed to be the smart one, and in Williamson's eyes, smart people say things that don't make any fucking sense. It was weird. It's a strange movie.
Yeah, smart people have to be motivated out of their dorm room by their fellow student and then have that fellow student drive them home.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So, it sounds like we would both recommend you could watch this movie.
If you like 90s horror or you just like bad movies, I don't know what to... I mean, it's... it is what it is. It's a little piece of 90s teen stuff. It gives you kind of a good idea of what was going on, how meaningless the 90s were. People seemed pretty comfortable. The country was prospering. Bill Clinton was president. Everything was just delightful. And
everyone was walking around all day saying, "This is nice."
Yeah, like nothing to worry about. And here's a movie about a bunch of rich people who are really obnoxious and totally unlikable, and you're supposed to care about them, and they do a terrible thing and don't handle it well, and then it just goes downhill from there.
Literally.
Yeah. So the movie, as I had said, it opens with this kind of overhead shot, and we get Typo Negative doing a cover of Summer Breeze, which is hilarious. I mean, Peter Steele is always good for a laugh, and except maybe when you heard he died, but otherwise. And so you get this coastal scenery, this ridiculous music. It seems to be the camera really focuses on this loop in the road right there on the edge of the water. That's a really important spot. And then we zone in on this guy. This he's sad drinking on the edge of a cliff, wearing his rubber wellies or whatever, like the rubber pantsuit boot thing that goes over your shoulders for fishing.
It's like a bib.
Yeah, I forget what they're called, but it's like the fishing suit without the slicker. Don't worry, we'll be cool with slickers very soon.
Oh yeah, don't ye worry about the lack of slickers so far in this movie.
Thou shalt not worry about slickers. And he's fingering. So much. He's like fingering the shiniest silver pendant that has, it's the little hook, like it's like a crescent shape with a circle inside that's suspended through the middle, so he can just bing and flip it. Bing.
For a while, it's hard to tell that he's even sad drinking. He kind of seems like he's just sitting there having a good day.
He's just sitting there having a good time, and then you think, well, maybe he's a little mopey, and then you hear rocks falling for no reason, which I thought was like, okay.
All right.
Yeah, that's happening. Okay. So then he's pinging his little pendant and drinking and being terrible. And then we cut to fireworks. And I believe it's July 4th, and it's summer. We see Helen, Sarah Michelle Gellar's character, she wins the Miss Croker beauty pageant, which was kind of one of the parts of the movie that I liked, was that the beauty pageant had this weird retro, like, 50s almost feel, like, that here's the next girl. Like, it was just...
Yeah. She's got nice titties.
They're all wearing one-piece bathing suits, like the old school, like, just... It was a little bit strange, slightly surreal, but of course the director does not have enough talent to take it where it needs to go. So it falls a little flat. She wins, which is ridiculous because she just doesn't. She looks out of place in that lineup. All the other girls are really tall and like super gorgeous, and she's got that weird Sarah Michelle Gellar look that personally I can't stand, but some people like. I know you're a big fan of her.
I love Sarah Michelle Gellar.
That's awesome.
But yeah, she does. She looks really out of place here. Also, this movie has gone so far out of its way to push her boobs up under her chin that they even comment on it. And Freddy Prinze Jr. is like, I didn't know her boobs could be like that. And the dude's like, yeah, she does all of this stuff to make her boobs look that big.
It's so wrong. And then they remain that way throughout the movie.
Yeah. This movie really does everything it can to accentuate the breasts.
I mean, if you wanted, you got one stacked actress. If you wanted another, you could have found one, I'm sure. You didn't have to fake it with Sarah Michelle Gellar. But anyways, so she wins, and it's her friends, her lady friend Julie and her boyfriend Ray, and Julie's boyfriend Barry. Wait, yeah. I got it. Am I back? I got it all backwards. Her boyfriend is Barry.
Helen's boyfriend Barry.
Yeah. Helen, who just won the pageant, her boyfriend is Barry. Ryan Phillippe.
Yeah, the easiest celebrity's name to say.
Phillippe. And and then Julie, that's Jennifer Love Hewitt, and Ray, who in real life she ends up marrying Freddy Prinze Jr. Yeah. They're all on the balcony watching, cheering her on. It's wonderful. And then she gives her acceptance speech, which made me want to die. And then we go from there to beach bingo party. What? I don't know what the hell I'm trying to say. Bleach banquet.
Yeah.
It's a bleach banquet party.
Ooh.
The B-52s are playing. Okay.
Oh my god. That song that they just would not stop singing is so bad.
It's terrible. I don't even recognize that song. It took me a minute.
Like just over and over again. Why?
At least we didn't get that's that light at the whale.
Much preferred that.
That would have been more fun. Yes, yeah. That's true. Well, we meet Elsa, Helen's bitch sister, and Max and this guy Max shows up, and he's like putting the moves on Julie J-Lo Hewitt.
Yeah, he's like he shows up with a tray with he's like, here's a cocktail I mixed myself where you couldn't see.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And he's like, I mean, we're friends, right? So that means that we should go out. It's like, yeah. Wait, what?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about? Because that's how it works.
Yeah, and it's that horrible little guy from The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, that he's Johnny Gasecki or something like that.
Sure, why not?
He's terrible. I hate him. And then Ryan Phillippe's character, Barry, comes up and confronts him. You chumbate, take a hike. And he pushes him in the chest, and then he bumps into some bikers, and then they push Chumbate in the back, and then he bumps into Barry, and then they almost get into a fight, but Ray breaks it up.
Fascinating.
Come on, guys! and then we cut to them having a campfire in the hull of a sunken ship
Yeah.
that they just leave on the beach in Dawson's Beach. That's
the
hallmark of Dawson's Beach.
Yeah, all of the fanciest teens go fuck at the shipwreck.
So they're having a bonfire, and they're telling this stupid urban myth about a bee-hooked killer and a bunch of teenagers. It's just bad. It's real bad. Yeah. And then it's time for fucking. Oh, boy, hold on. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. And I just remember at that part, like during that part, that whole where they're telling the hook story, Sarah Michelle Gellar starts talking, and I realize how nasal her voice is. And I'm like, oh my God, we're going to have to get through the whole movie with... It's like... I was like, oh God, here we go. So they all have these wonderful plans. They're going to go off to college and, this and that. So it's just so wonderful teen stuff. We're going to stay together no matter what. Like all that kind of stuff. There's some fucking going on. Ray takes Julie's virginity. With her signaling, I love her signal that it's time to get it on. She takes her sweater off.
Yeah.
She just takes her sweater off, and he's like, are you sure?
God.
It's like, sure about what? Taking off her sweater?
Are you about to dry hump? What's happening?
It's a little chilly, are you sure?
This is sand. You know that, right? We're just on sand and rocks.
Meanwhile, Ryan Phillippe is super drunk. And, he wants to drive, but they're not going to let him drive because he's drunk. So they let Ray drive, who's a terrible driver. And
he's not good at driving, no.
He's just not good. And they take off to the wonderful sounds of terrible pop punk. I don't know. I didn't even bother to look at it. I didn't want to know. It was like Bad Religion or something.
No, I was like, this sounds like the worst Motorhead album.
Yes, it did.
It was in fact you're adjacent. It was ska. It was the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
Oh God. Oh, that's painful. Yeah. Wow.
And that was like one of the better songs in this movie.
That's true, actually. Yeah. Wow. Well, so they're driving. Ryan Barry, I guess, is super drunk. So he opens the fucking skylight in the car and stands up and does the, like the Titanic, I'm going to rule the world thing or whatever, drops his bottle, and then there's like whiskey spilling all over the car. Everybody's freaking out. And then all of a sudden Barry says, "Watch out!" And then they hit some guy in the road, which is clearly a guy, and they all see him.
Yeah.
But then immediately they can't find him, and they're talking about, oh, it was probably just a deer. It's like, no, it's not a fucking deer. You all saw it was a person. You look right at him. So they hit this guy in the road, which is great. They freak the fuck out. They get out of the car. They're, panicking, whatever. One of them finds a boot. I think it was Julie, finds a bloody boot, screams like a banshee. And then there's some screaming and shouting. Then they go to find the body. He's about 75 feet away around a bend in the road.
Yeah. They put English on him. They hit him so hard that he became a curveball.
They put English on him. Oh my God. Woo. Oh my God. That was amazing. Oh yeah, that's good. So they're arguing about what to do. They think he's dead, and we really see some terrible acting. A lot of Ryan Phillippe screaming, which is his go-to in this movie. Whenever he's amped up about anything, he just starts shouting, and it's really abrasive. It's like, dude, tone it down just a little bit. He's
real aggressive with his voice.
I know he's supposed to be the hothead character and all that, and that's fine, but he still overdoes it. I mean, nobody would hang out with somebody who screamed like that all the time. They'd just be like...
He would make a terrible college quarterback. Like, if he just can't control his feelings at all.
Oh my God. Yeah. So as they're sitting here arguing, this Max clown just magically shows up with his car, just drives up on the scene as the group's trying to hide this dude's body over the guardrail. And Max pulls up and he's talking to Julie. I guess it was probably Julie. And
it's always Julie.
Yeah, and he's a complete douche and he acts all suspicious. Oh, what's going on? And some crap about the car, and he sees that there's damage on the car, whatever. He's not smart enough to realize what's going on because Barry is barfing over the guardrail.
He's pretending to barf so that he can hide his blood-soaked face.
Which I'm assuming means he was... I wish he was barfing, because that would mean he was barfing on the guy that they just hit.
That would be awesome.
Which they should have shown. That would have made a better movie. So
yeah.
So they instead of taking the body like 2 more feet to the edge of the cliff and throwing him into the ocean with all the riptides that they're talking about. Nope, they don't do that. They put him in the car, in the trunk, and drive him to the closest well-lit public boat dock.
Just like there's almost like a Coca-Cola machine in the background.
It's like, really? This is where you're going to inconspicuously dump this body? Where is this, the Riptide Boat Marina or something?
It's just the marina in the Walmart parking lot.
So they go to they're going to dump him in the water, and of course he wakes up, which is completely ridiculous. And he's still alive, and then they go to like knock him in the water, but as he's falling in the water, he grabs Helen's tiara that she's still wearing. Was she still wearing the fucking thing?
She's still wearing the tiara because she won the pageant. That's her pageant crown. And she's just been wearing the motherfucker because, you see, they're on the they're all going off to college. She's going to become a big famous actress. This is her victory night.
That's right. So she's going to wear her tiara, girlfriend.
Everywhere.
Every fucking where until this guy takes it in murder rage. I don't really know what's going on with this guy at this point. So he sinks into the water. He's got the tiara, so Barry jumps in to rescue it, gets up to him, takes the tiara out of his hand. Of course, he wakes up again, and then Barry swims away, whatever. So then they leave, but the camera pans down to the ping pendant, which is just laying on the ground. Great. That's who fucking cares? Whatever.
No one cares. No one cares. And I want you to hearken back to this moment when we talk about how he grabs the tiara, but then fucking Barry goes in and grabs the tiara back and brings it so they have the tiara again. Harken back to this moment, because later we're gonna get to a point where like this would have gone a cooler way.
Yeah.
And they just didn't.
Blew it.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So it's it's 1 year later, and it's following summer.
Yeah, it's I wanted to go back also Ray, it talks to, like, the guy yells at Ray, Max yells at Ray about how he's adapting to pretending to be one of the rich people. And so it's this little detail that's not really emphasized, but you get, like, if you watch this movie and analyze it, you catch on to the fact that Ray isn't one of the wealthy ones, and he's just friends with the wealthy kids, so he gets to be one of the popular wealthy kids. And that, for some reason, is a detail in this movie, but not really.
Yeah, it's there, but it really doesn't matter. And it's a very Hollywood depiction of a person of color in that he has basically no color, and he just has black hair. I guess that makes him a person of color and poor. I don't know. I mean, it's so pointless. It doesn't. It's like, okay, whatever. Who cares? It pops up a couple times here and there, like what he's doing for the summer and all this stuff, which we'll get into it. But yeah, you're right. It's there, but it's irrelevant.
Yeah, it's completely pointless, as is the little pendant that we keep talking about. Yeah. It doesn't fucking matter.
No.
But it's like a little thing, and that's why I think that, like, I don't know, it's just fails on those things so hard. It feels like the story pieces are there for all of this to stick together in a good way, but it just, the delivery is just such a fart.
Yeah, if you were trying to sell this script and you had to give like a overview of the whole thing, you know, you could pick the ideas out, and some of the ideas that don't fit so well, but tie them together in a way to where you could pitch it to somebody where it sounds like it's at least cohesive enough to make a movie. And then you could just go back and make this movie, which isn't cohesive at all, and it doesn't matter because it was a total fucking success.
Yeah, it made way more money. It made tons of money compared to, like, what their budget was.
I mean, this movie spawned several sequels and a admittedly failed TV series.
Admittedly.
Yeah. That's not a successful series. They went through one season and they were canceled.
Yeah.
But, yeah. But that's because...
Whatever, man.
That's because Amazon just throws shit at the wall and whatever.
Oh, yeah. Maybe they'll like to watch this. Let's throw $100 million on it and kind of make it suck a little.
God.
So yeah, it's 1 year later, and Julie is going home for the summer. There's a very awkward scene in her dorm room. I did not like any of that. She looks strung out. She looks like she's got bags under her eyes. She's wearing the dumbest, just think of a dumb 90s girl hat. Just picture that idea in your head and you nailed it. There it is. The dumbest 90s girl hat. And she's wearing that.
It's like a floppy
home. She has weird
fisherman style hat.
It's like, it's terrible. It's just terrible. And it's even like pushed the worst way possible.
But it's cute.
It's adorbs. And then she's home. She visits with her mom. They have some sort of weird tension that does not matter at all. We find out that her dad is dead, which does not matter at all, and does not make us sympathize with her character anymore, because as much as she's supposed to be the main character of this movie, she's just... Helen is a way better character.
Yeah.
Her story arc is even more interesting.
They flesh it out more.
Yeah, they flesh it out. She has, like, a whole progression. We see her grow as a person, whereas this girl is just pissy.
She's just pissy. She just screams better. I think that was ultimately... I don't know what the choice was to make her, you know, the protagonist, because... Yeah, like you said, I mean, Helen's character, her family owns a store in town. She's got this weird relationship with her sister, which doesn't necessarily matter, but it does work in the sense that it does add a little bit of depth. We're talking about degrees that are very, very small. But with a movie this shallow, you take what you can get, you know, and that's one of the things that you get. Her sister, who happens to be married to Pete Sampras.
Yeah. Pete Sampras's now Pete Sampras's wife. That's an interesting deet.
Bridget Moynihan Sampras.
It's a real grand slam. Also, former Miss Teen USA.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. I kind of like her. She was in Billy Madison, and she was pretty fun. She was pretty good in that one. I actually like the way she tries so hard to act like he's not Adam Sandler, acting like someone who's semi-mentally deficient or severely deficient.
Yeah. Just pretend you're not disgusted by his presence.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of like her. She's despicable in this movie, but this movie's very good about taking some people who are okay and just ruining them. Like Anne Heche is just terrible in this movie.
Oh my god, Anne Heche's character is just... What's that pose? Like the wilty, like the wristed, like just like a weird bird thing? I don't know what's going on, but she has immaculate hair. Like
immaculate hair, yeah. That's true. Yeah. She's got a very nice haircut. They try really hard to make it look like she lives in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house.
Yes! She basically just lives in wood dust.
It's like she got like a $5 budget for the house. Like, just get some animal skins and we'll just deck this shed out. And just record. Just put the sound of flies over this whole scene. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Where can we get a fake looking turkey and just hang it?
I can't wait to talk about that section because it is fucking dumb.
It is. It's so bad. Oh, this movie. Okay, so she gets a note. Like someone left her a note, and it says, "I know what you did last summer." It could have also said, "I feel confused about what you did last summer," or "I can't really remember quite exactly what you did last summer."
Get ready to share my confusion about what may or may not have happened last summer.
Yeah. Somehow this story is about what you did, not about what you did last summer, but actually about what happened 2 summers ago?
Yeah, exactly. What the fuck? Why does things only happen in the summer in this world?
Only on July 4th and like the general 4th of July weekend.
That's it. It's all centers around the Miss Croker pageant.
Yeah, for some reason, like this movie isn't really 4th of July themed, other than the fact that one time there was fireworks and then another time there was fireworks.
Yeah, this movie is Leth movie is Leth. It's less 4th of July themed than Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Yes. Oh God. So she goes to the Shivers family store. Their last name is Shivers. Like, because this movie's trying to build cash in on a little bit of that Scream meta humor, and it just. And she goes to ask the horrible sister where Helen is, and she wants Helen's number in New York. Her New York number, which is just that's how people talk. Where's her, do you have her New York number? And she's like, oh, well, she doesn't have one, but look over there, she's at the, she's working at the perfume counter.
Yeah. 10 feet away. She's like, oh, well, it's a good thing you're here because she's 10 feet to your left at the perfume counter. Like, you can't see 10 feet in front of you to notice that your friend, who's bumbling, she's not only at the fucking perfume counter, she's bumbling, like knocking all the perfume bottles over, and she still doesn't notice that she's there until Elsa tells her. And, okay, your family runs like a fucking, like, 5 and dime apothecary fucking store, like, play that up, like, turn it, I don't know, have like the thing where you turn to put the coin in and the animatronic thing guesses your future or something. Like, make it entertaining. Don't just get this cool idea and then just throw it away. Stupid.
Yeah. It's not just a department store. It's like a department store with a machinery basement.
Yeah,
that later will come into
it's
play,
the weirdest.
Where they have mechanical hoists.
I know. Like, what is the... Apparently it's the same basement they used to shoot Toby Hooper's Funhouse.
I know, exactly. It's got rails and shit on it. There's just mannequins covered in sheets for no reason.
It's like, what the fuck is going on down here? What kind of department store is this?
Oh, I'll tell you what kind of department store it is. It's the kind of department store where their perfume girl has to have the biggest hair possible that isn't like a perm, and also now looks like she shops at Walmart instead of Macy's.
Her hair is great. Her hair is so ridiculous that I suspect it's a joke in the movie. Like, I think it's supposed to be funny, which actually is kind of funny that they play up on it so much.
Yeah, her sister will not stop making fun of her for doing her hair.
That's right.
She's like, you and your fucking hair.
You and your clearly, obviously a bad wig hair.
And this is the type of humor that's in the script, but the movie is so bad on focusing on that I did not catch until I'd watched it multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible, These people are all of these people are capable of acting a little bit. I mean, Sarah Michelle Gellar is loved for a reason, She had a lot of charm in Buffy and, and other stuff. I mean, like, in this movie, she's just a dud. I mean,
yeah.
She's not particularly entertaining. She doesn't really even have that many great lines. Like, J-Lo Hewitt gets all the good lines. Ryan Phillippe overacts. He's not a bad actor. He's probably the best actor in the bunch. Freddy
Prinze Jr. just kind of stands there.
Yeah, he's not. I've never seen him do anything good, but whatever. Yeah.
Wing Commander?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Scooby-Doo, hello.
Come on.
Scooby, don't.
Yeah, it's purely, I think it's purely bad directing. Like, they probably, like, all delivered their lines just fine, and then the guy was like, no, I want you to try it this way. Now try it as if you've had a stroke and half of your face doesn't work. Okay, now try it as if you've had a fantasy stroke and just the bottom half of your face doesn't work.
It's so funny because these are good-looking people, generally considered good-looking people. That's part of the reason why they're on screen, if not the entire reason.
Yep.
You would assume that in real life they're somewhat charismatic. They're actors, so they know how to ham it up. I get the impression that they probably had a lot of fun making the movie, because there's an infamous scene coming up, and and there's kind of a funny story about it, and I'm sure these people have a certain amount of charm, but on screen they're just dead. They're like wet fish.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like they've been just left in a pile of ice.
The only one who takes her camp to a level that's even remotely entertaining is Hewitt, and that's not saying a lot. It's just that she's the only one. I mean, yeah. I guess the bad guy, but he doesn't have to do anything. He just has to look menacing and swing a hook around. Oh
my god, I just realized she looks like the actress from Sleepaway Camp a little bit.
J-Lo Hugh?
Yeah, Jennifer Hewlett Packard, yeah.
Yes, that's right. Printer magnate?
Yes. Yeah, I could see her doing that screaming scene at the very end of Sleepaway Camp. That would be spectacular.
Remake!
I need to Photoshop that.
Nice.
Let's see. So yeah, it turns out that Helen New York didn't work out for her. She didn't become a famous actress, and she had to come back home and embarrassingly work at the family store. And that's okay. That doesn't really matter to Julie, because Julie does not give a shit about any of these people. She hates all of them. All of them are like, or not all of them, but two of them are like, I would just really like to be able to still have a relationship with you. You were like my best friend. You were very important in my life. And Julie's like, fuck you. I'm in college now.
Don't be a whore.
I hate you.
I don't bathe anymore, and I hate you.
Yeah. Then they go and they find Barry. Barry is like at a country club or something. I don't know. There's drinks are being served, but he's in a white wife beater. Which I only mentioned because later someone else is going to be in a black wife beater. And it's like, oh, okay, we have a motif. Okay. So they loop him in. They're like, well, let's go talk to... I forget exactly how, but Julie reveals that she knows about what happened, that the body washed up on shore. Oh yeah, part of their pact is that they'll never talk about this, so every time she's like, we murdered someone, they're like, shh, don't fucking talk about it, and it wasn't murder, and shut up, and we all just want to be your friend. And and she says that his name was David Egan, and that his death was listed as an accidental drowning. And then Barry confronts Max at the fishing refrigerator that Max works in, which is just random gigantic fish hanging from the ceiling and just blocks of ice everywhere. And then later we find out it's mostly a place where you go to boil crabs.
Yeah, there's a crab steam area.
Yeah, the crab sauna. There's gaff hooks everywhere, and they're like brand new. They're just
really nice.
Yeah, they're real nice. They're shiny and brand new. The handle hasn't been worn down. It's great. And so Barry is like all at Max for no reason. And then like Max gets pushed around, and then after Barry leaves, Max like gestures at his back with a gaff hook, because that's Max's move, is wait for the scary guy to leave and then kind of go, eh. And that's the end of that scene, which shouldn't matter to the movie as much as it does.
Well, it's like Barry is such a moron, and he just decides that certain people must be responsible because they saw Max. It must be Max.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Oh, I mean, I guess I kind of get that, but openly confronting him at his place of work by taking him into a back ice chamber, it makes no...
They're in Hoth.
And then semi-kicking his ass and then just leaving. It's like, oh,
yeah,
what?
Not even kicking his ass, just kind of like shoving him around a little and being aggressive toward him.
I mean, obviously no one in the audience is buying this. Nobody thinks it's Max. It's because, a lot of these movies, and this movie is one of them, will go with that stupid misdirection thing, to try to throw you off. And I hope that they're not seriously trying to make it sound like this scene doesn't need to be there. There's no reason for it. Max is just an idiot who shouldn't even be in the movie.
Yeah. The movie is attempting to present us with suspects, but they are not. We do not suspect them because the movie does it bad.
We know. I mean, it's so obvious that it's not Max. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
And like he grabs them, that, like you said, he grabs the gaff hook as if that's somehow supposed to make us go, oh, it is Max. It's like, no, you have to do you have to give him something that makes us think he's capable of menacing these people. We know it's a slasher, so you have to give us something that is going to lead him to become a slasher. There's no reason why he'd be a slasher because she blew him off and he saw Barry barf over a guardrail.
Yep. It's dumb. It just lands flat. It's not exceptionally bad. It's just incompetent. It's all failed opportunities and just not delivering on what could be there. Ugh.
Yeah.
It makes me mad. They find Ray. I forget whether or not Barry punches him this time, because most of the time, at a certain point in this movie, every time Barry says hello to Ray, he says hello by punching him in the face and then humping him a little.
There's a lot of introductory punching.
Yeah. Hey, it's Ray. Bam! Hump, hump, hump. And so Ray and Julie have a moment. Helen and what's his nuts Barry have broken up. He's still a college football player, and she's not doing her dreams, and they broke up. It's dumb, and it's part of this Dawson's Creaky drama that's in here that the movie focuses on a lot. There is a lot of interpersonal communication and emotional fallout in this movie, but it is also not effectively done.
Yeah, Williamson has that creepy pedophile adjacent J.D. Salinger fascination with young people that's just a little uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, like let's get a almost naked teenager in a shower and look in their contract to see whether or not they'll show nip.
It's very strange. I do like the line when Julie and Ray are talking, and he's like, I really would like to start to talk to you some more for again, and then her response is great. She says, I don't blame you, Ray, but I don't want to know you either. And then she storms off.
Yeah.
Like, what? What the fuck? And he's got the look on the best acting probably in the movie is when Freddy Prinze is like, huh?
Yeah, he's like a little bit cross-eyed and maybe gonna cry. That's acting.
It's like, did they say and scene and everybody was slow clapping in the set?
Yeah. Yeah, that's his soliloquy on the porch from Spider Baby.
Oh my god.
Let's see, yeah. So, then they all have gone their separate ways. Back to Max, who is in the igloo, the industrial strength igloo. We see some beslickered shadow.
Yeah, because suddenly Max is in like you said, it's a crab sauna. Like, the whole room is suddenly filled with steam.
Yeah.
And then he sees the beslickered silhouette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking dumb.
It's really bad.
It's really bad. And then the guy, the slicker wearing dude, definitely not a fisherman, grabs a gaff hook because Max gestured with it and that was cool, and kills him with it.
Sticks the gaff hook up under his chin, which was kind of cool. Drags him. This is such a missed opportunity. He drags him over the open, boiling pots of crabs.
Yeah.
Like, and this just throws his body on the ground. Like, dude, stuff his ass in the fucking crab please.
It was right there. He, like, very carefully aimed it to avoid getting him in the crab boil.
Wouldn't want to taint the crab.
I am not some kind of gross psycho. I just want to kill this guy for misdirection purposes.
Also, a gaff hook through the chin is not going to instantly kill you, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, you know, the good news is that the instant he pulls the gaff hook out, it is now clean because it is made out of the shiniest silver Miracle Teflon. This gaff hook will not have blood on it.
Super gaff.
Flex gaff? Oh, and why did he kill Max?
Yes, exactly. Why? He didn't do anything.
Yeah.
He had nothing to do with it.
Not a damn thing.
This is why he killed Max, because he was in the movie.
He was in the movie. Yeah, he was just a character that got a name and some lines.
He was they should have just given him a red shirt. I mean, it was... I made my own Star Trek reference. That was pretty sweet.
Hey, one for the Trekkies.
34 episodes in.
Also, up to this point, like, he grabbed the conveniently nearby gaff.
Yeah.
And you would think, oh, well, that was just because that was at hand. But no, then he was like, you know what? This is kind of neat.
This kind of worked pretty good there.
Maybe I'll just hang on to this one and carry it around with me later.
I love that his guise as a secret maniac killer is to dress up like the Gorton's fisherman. It's like, what the fuck? What? And everybody in the entire town wears slickers.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a bright yellow one for some reason. They all wear, like, drab fish belly gray slickers.
If you're gonna do that kind of a scene, and you're gonna, like, set it in fucking Boston, like in New England somewhere off the coast, way up the Atlantic coast, not down in South Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what do you want it to be
set in
like,
California?
It's supposed to be South Carolina, isn't it?
Is it really?
I mean,
I'm
like,
so dumb.
If you're gonna, like, pick the setting you want. Do you want to have this rugged, like, you know, gray, rainy seaside place where everybody's like, and they all wear slickers and, you know, drink molten metal or whatever the hell that people do in these settings? And then it's like super sunny, and, you know, there's all the rich teens that are running around. And yeah, that's the other thing is oh no, we don't get to that. Okay, we'll talk about that later. But anyways, yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And so, like, this guy's thing is he's doing the fisherman thing, and then, like, he, like, followed them around or whatever. And so was he there when they were fucking?
That's the thing. Like, what is he supernatural? Because he's not. But why is he able to do things that normal people can't do?
But is he? Because, like, I don't know if you've ever tried to empty a wet trunk full of corpse and crabs and then manage to just do that in the middle of a busy street and leave everything dry and organized.
And perfectly clean.
Yeah.
Like nothing, nary a tool out of place.
And it doesn't even smell.
Yeah. He had, like, what, 2 minutes to do that?
Just one quick boy hump in the yard, and then that's all it takes.
God damn it. Yeah, maybe that's it. That's the conceit, is that he's secretly supernatural.
Yeah. Ugh.
It's so bad. Dear God, it's the worst movie. Anyways, so Barry, comedically intense Barry, as usual. We see him, he's box punching his heavy bag, just rage punching, like completely, because when you train for fighting, you want to scream and grit your teeth and waste as much energy as possible while you're doing it, because that's going to make you a better fighter. And then he goes and takes a shower, and because I guess he's at the boxing gym that they have in Dawson's Beach. Right, okay, well, there's enough people in Dawson's Beach that they have a boxing gym. So he goes to his locker, and there's a Polaroid sticking out of the door of his locker, and he pulls it out. It's a picture of his car, and then I think it's on the back. It says, "I know," because there wasn't enough room to say what you did last summer. It would have been great if it said, "I know, WH," and cut off at the edge.
or what about sloped down, and then he had to write the rest of the word underneath it.
He has an arrow and it says "over."
Really bad handwriting.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. That's amazing.
That's so good. And then he goes to leave. He's, because he's startled, whatever. And he says goodbye to the guy at the gym, whatever. And he goes outside, and there's a BMW out there that, like, speeds away. Someone has stolen his jacket. Apparently it was beloved, because he's very upset about it, out of his locker.
He's finished his freshman year at college, and he's still wearing his Letterman jacket because he's one of those high school guys. Like, wasn't I such cool as a senior?
Oh my god, yeah. So the guy steals somebody, whatever. So the bad guy steals his jacket, and then he goes outside, and there's somebody in a car, in a BMW, and he's yelling at him to give him his jacket back, and then the car just speeds away. And then, I forget what he does, but then the car comes rushing back, a la Men.
Yeah.
And starts chasing him, and then this is the thing that happens in so many movies, where somebody's being chased by a car, and there's 10,000 obstacles going by as they're running, but he just stays in the middle of the road.
Yeah, gotta hit every one of those yellow lines.
Fortunately, he runs faster than a car.
Yes.
And then he gets cornered in the parking lot. The guy doesn't come out of the gym. Like, he had to hear this. So he's out there Barry's out there getting chased around by this car. Eventually the car completely just obliterates him, like just bashes him into a fishing house or whatever. Knocks him into a pile of rubble.
Yeah, like shoots him through a wall like a cannonball.
It makes no fucking sense. So he's
and then later,
yeah,
later he says, he says the guy didn't want to kill him, that if he had wanted to kill me, he could have. It's like, dude!
I think he wanted to kill you. That was not a surgical strike. He completely fucking waylaid you through a building. I'm dying.
That's my favorite thing in this movie.
So the gang is, oh my God, yeah. So he goes to the hospital.
Yeah.
Gortons of Gloucester lets him go to the hospital. And at the hospital, Barry blames Ray and accuses Ray of doing it because he owns a slicker.
Yeah.
That's it. He owns a slicker. That must be him.
Well, we know you own a slicker.
We know 99.9% of people in Dawson's Breach own a slicker. So, the gang is visiting Barry, who, at this point, they would just have to hate the guy. Like, why are they even visiting? He's such an asshole. You know, I guess they just feel guilty. I don't know. It's stupid.
It's the shared secret.
Yeah. Yeah. We know what we did last summer. Yeah. They make more really bad plans, which they should have learned at this point. Making plans for this group is not a good idea. And Julie storms out of the room. She, act rages. She's upset with Ray again. There is no you and me. And then she just storms out. It's so awkward and out of place. But okay, whatever. She's tormented by what they've done because she's a good person, you see?
Yeah. She's the good one.
Yeah. So, then we find out that let's see, what was the story there? How did they find this out? The summer before last story about, they're doing research. She's doing research on the internet, which it's like Netscape Navigator or whatever. She's using Ask Jeeves I guess 97, that was a long time ago.
It's she uses like a phone book size laptop and does find 5 news articles on the internet somehow, and then does that thing where she self narrates the research. Okay, what's this? Click. Pop up, click.
That's right. There's a scene where, is it her? One of them makes a cell phone call, but the cell phone is one of those things that looks like a shoebox.
Yeah.
It looks so hilarious. So she finds out that the summer before the summer where they hit this idiot, a guy named David Egan had crashed his car off that exact same cliff, killing his fiancée, Susie Willis. And, he had a tattoo of her name on his arm.
They remember seeing it.
Yeah, that's right.
On the English hit by a carman had Susie tattooed on his arm.
That's right. So Jesus Christ. So
yes.
So they think that, well, okay, it must be one of David Egan's loved ones, one of his inner circle or whatever. So they go to visit his Missy, Anne Heche, which was what, his sister? I think she's supposed to be David Egan's sister.
Yeah, she's his sister, and I think she's one entire high school older than him.
That's right. So they go to visit Anne Heche in the sticks, as they call it. And we get terrible fucking music as they're driving. And then I think it was The Offspring or something. I don't remember.
I think so.
And then we get a double whammy of terrible lines. We get the Angela Lansbury always had a plan. And then the whole bit, the bit about Jodie Foster and the serial killer answering the door. And, what if we get to the door and it's Jodie Foster and the serial killer answers the door? And then they knock on the door, and she opens it, and she's all Anne Heche. She's all creepy, and they're like, "Our car broke down, and can we use your phone, honeydew?" And so
and Anne Heche is sprinkled in corn flour.
Yes, it's what is happening right now? So they go in. She lets them in. It's total Texas Chainsaw House. It's ridiculous. And
how does she live in there? It is dust. Everything is dust.
And then there's a little inside joke which I thought was funny, where one of them says, "Hey Jody, I'm gonna go make a phone call," or whatever. obviously a little reference to that she's probably a serial killer. It's like, okay, that's not funny, but that's fine, whatever.
And the other one calls her, okay, Angela, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's stupid.
Yeah.
So things haven't been the same since David died. We get this long, fucking pointless story from Missy. Meantime, there's the world's largest slicker hanging on the wall. I mean, it's like a parachute of a slicker. It's like, okay, we get it. There's a slicker here. So very shiny. They're all very shiny. I didn't realize slickers were so shiny. But anyways, so they hear this ridiculous story. They hear about how David had a friend named Billy Blue, which...
Oh, yeah.
Billy Blue, who used to come around. He was sweet on Missy. And, you know, he's kind of sweet on me. Like, no one cares. More just garbage exposition. The girls leave. And, you know, Missy's like y'all want to stay? And they leave.
She's lonely.
She's lonely. They get in the car. They start the engine. They're sitting there talking. And then Missy jump scares them. Like, bangs on the window out of nowhere. And then, you know, says something like, see, the car's working now. And then suspiciously watches them drive away. Just useless.
Yeah, with a really, like, limp, wilty pose. And it's just... It's so weird. And she's surrounded in dust. The whole house has been sanded and then not blown off.
Yeah.
And she's just wearing a, like, slightly darker than skin tone fish gutting apron, but she has this, like, perfect red carpet ready pixie do. It's just like, what is your lifestyle?
And why do you have Peter Pan's hair and Leatherface's everything else?
Yeah. And so there's even, like, a bit of a jump scare when they see the slicker, because she, like, turns around and all of a sudden it's there. And then as they, like, drive away, they're like, well, let's research Billy Blue, because it's definitely not her that's the killer.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Like, it could be anybody. It doesn't really matter anymore. It's just like, let's just get there at this point, you know?
So at this point, Sarah Michelle Gellar, like, has this whole speech about how she'd really like to be friends again with Helen, like it would be meaningful to her, and Helen's like, no, get out of the car.
Yeah.
Or no, Julie's like, no, get out of the car.
Julie totally shoots that down. Because, you know, she's tormented, man. She just can't hang.
Yeah, she's too busy with her feelings. So Helen goes in. Inside the house, her dad is there. He's watching a vintage baseball game from, like, the 80s for some reason.
It's like Rod Carew is playing.
Yeah, I guess he's watching ESPN Classic. And she's like, hey, Dad. And he just was like, nope, don't talk to me. I'm watching the old ball game.
It's like he doesn't even know she's there.
Yeah, doesn't hear her. As she goes upstairs, takes her clothes off camera, but as she's doing all of this, we're seeing the slicker sneaking into her house, hiding in her closet, breathing heavy as she changes her clothes, and then goes to sleep. And then when she wakes up, her sister bitches at her again and says, Dad needs you to work at the store tomorrow. And she's like, I can't. Tomorrow's the parade and the new beauty pageant, and I have to officiate the beauty pageant. And her sister makes a joke about her hair and stuff like that. Whatever. So then she goes to sleep and wakes up the next morning after having played with her crown, like thinking about it. Wakes up the next morning and the crown is on her head and a bunch of her hair has been chopped off. And over on the mirror is soon written in lipstick.
Somebody cut her hair while she was sleeping, and she didn't wake up.
Didn't wake up. He just hung out in her room for a while. And why was it cool? Like, why did the movie go the extra mile to have him grab the crown and then them retrieve it so that she could hold on to it that whole time. Why wouldn't it just be reintroduced here? Like, why wouldn't it have... They never got it back from him when he fell in the water, and then now it's on her head. Oh my god, the crown.
Yeah, wouldn't that make more sense? Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cooler?
It would be more menacing, yeah. But
yeah.
nope.
No. We couldn't have it be that he grabbed the crown and that was the indication. No, we had to get Ryan Phillippe to go diving and have him do a eyeball thing. It's dumb. It's so dumb.
It made no sense. Yeah, it was stupid. I think it's because the director was so stupid that, like, in his mind, he was like, well, now, if he takes the crown down in the water, the next year, she's going to have to inform the pageant that she doesn't have the crown, and I'm going to have to film a whole side section where she has to explain to the pageant why she doesn't have the crown. It'd just be easier if Ryan Phillippe just jumped in the water and just took the crown, and then we don't have to go through all that.
Fuck that, dude. That could have been so much cooler. That could have been on the special features. I would watch that special feature on this DVD.
Yeah. This movie is terrible.
Helen Does Paperwork, the special feature short.
Oh my god.
Okay, so, so she calls Julie to be like, hey, I was assaulted in my sleep. And Julie's like, oh, I'll race right over. So then what do these two women do? They put on skimpier clothes than they were wearing before. They get all sluttied up because someone is after us and creeping into our bedrooms at night. So let's make sure to show cleavage and midriff, please.
Yeah, J-Lo has got a, like, real low scooped neck, a half top, like a halter top thing that is just like, you know, it's just like, gee, I wonder why she's wearing that. It's like only could figure out why.
Yeah, and she's got a necklace that just dangles down and bounces back and forth between her boobs. It's really distracting, and why?
It's a perpetual motion machine.
It'd make a great desk toy.
Yes, it would.
Why? And then so she's now wearing the, like, tightest thing. It's and she races over, and then hears, like, something scuttling around in the back of her car, and so pulls over, almost gets killed by a pickup truck because it's the middle of the fucking road. Yeah. And there are people around. And she opens the trunk, and inside the trunk is Max's cold, dead corpse. And he is covered in wet, living crabs that are scuttling around and, like, coming out of his mouth and shit. And, and he's wearing Barry's Letterman jacket.
God, yeah.
For some reason.
There's a lot of crabs, and they're very active.
A lot of not chill crabs. Like, these guys are fresh out of the water, living their best life. Like, ooh, look what we found!
It's like they're so upset that they said, if you let us out of here, I promise we'll be gone in 2 minutes, and we will clean this trunk. You won't even know we were here.
Yeah. If you let us go, I promise you won't regret it.
I mean, it won't even smell like crabs.
Nope.
Or corpse.
We will clean and reorganize your trunk. All this garbage you had in here, these old, half-empty boxes of McDonald's French fries, we'll get those out of here, too.
Just like that. I'm talking 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. So, and also she screams aggressively at this tableau, like she screams at it like the action of vomiting, but just the sound of screaming coming out.
A scream impression of vomiting.
Yeah, and none of the people nearby hurry over. She just then finishes going over to her friend's house. And she goes and gets them, and they're like, oh, and now Sarah Michelle Gellar is wearing basically a sports bra and like tight nonsense and like a sweater tied around her, like she's going out for a fun time, like because they feel threatened. Yeah. So they come back to the trunk. They're like, what are you talking about? She opens the trunk, and now, the inside of the trunk is spotlessly dry. All of her, like, her car jack and tire, all of the tools are immaculately organized, haven't slid around at all. And there's obviously no smell of crab or corpse, because they're like, what are you talking about? This is just a very nice, clean trunk. And so this guy did this in the middle of a busy street.
And nobody saw him.
Nobody saw him, and he must have used, like, a full liner and, like, brought, like, Ultra Febreze with him, and just, like, new car smell.
Yeah, somehow he, in a matter of minutes, like a few minutes, he removed a corpse, like maybe 100 crabs, and any residue that they left behind, including odor, in broad daylight, and no one saw him.
I have never had a trunk as clean as this trunk, and it just had corpses and crabs in it.
It's a slightly implausible.
Yeah, so I think he must be a magic man. He's got to be like, he's got to be like, I don't know, maybe from a Stephen King novel.
He shows up wherever the kids are, and magically just shows up wherever they are, and he has magical cleaning powers.
Look at this gaff hook. I call this The Shining.
Because it's never dirty.
And it's got the shine on it, don't you think?
Oh my god.
And so, obviously, the next thing you have to do, this is where they go over to Ray's house and say hello by punching, and then knocking him to the ground and just kind of pelvically thrusting on top of him for a while.
Oh, but don't forget that the line, why did he make coleslaw on Helen's head?
Yeah! What is that? It sounds like sexual innuendo.
Is that where J-Lo gives her big line? What do you want from me?
Yes, yeah.
Is it?
She like steps away from the trunk and yells it. Or no, it's coming up. Like after they stop fighting on the ground, they're like talking about what's going on, and she just can't take it anymore. So she screams, "What do you want from me?" at God.
And did you read about how they made that scene?
I have no idea. No, nothing.
Some kid won a contest to direct a scene in this movie. That was the scene. It was his line, apparently. And so she, at the time, she was like, that's so ridiculous, I'm on board. So she went completely overboard on purpose to, like, please this kid.
Are you
Amazing.
kidding?
I read that in an article. Yeah.
Well, so they did not give a shit about this movie. Like, no one gave a shit about, like they hired this director, and he was like, well, do I need to have any, like, qualifications? They're like, no. Can you do a direct? I don't know, I guess we'll find out.
I can tell people what to do pretty good.
Yeah. Could you, I don't know. What do you do? Hey, 15-year-old, what do you think?
What if she screams and shakes her boobies?
Jesus.
Apparently that's considered iconic, that moment. It's like an iconic 90s horror movie moment because it's so over the top and ridiculous. And, it's not that memorable, but I guess in a movie this bad, again, you get what you can. Huh. But yeah, a child won a contest and made the most interesting part of the movie.
Yeah. What a cool kid. He probably read the script and was like, oh, this is trash.
And that child's name was David Gordon Green. I don't know.
Oh, there it is. Let's see. Did they somehow, I forget who they're talking about. It's like someone's sister had a yearbook that would also have Missy in it, and so they were like, well, maybe we could find a picture of Billy Blue, because you can't find someone until you find their picture.
Yeah, if you're not in the yearbook, you don't exist.
Yeah, the official people directory, the yearbook. My sister's yearbook has it.
The reality data bank.
And then, oh yeah, part of it is whenever they tell Ray about Billy Blue, he acts like only slightly suspicious a little. He's just like, how do you know that? And they're like, oh, because she, like, said it, and this stuff, and that's it. And so it's, like, a whole detail that is super underemphasized and, like, forgettable.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, okay. Like, it was just a normal part of the scene. It was just, like, a conversation that was happening. It wasn't a detail to recall.
It's one of these movies that you get the impression that it was created by aliens who observed human behavior for a little while and then decided to make a movie about it. Like, this is how humans act.
Maybe we could hang out with them at a ranch while wacky wobbly inflatable arm flailing tube men are around. And so from all of this, they devise the new big deal plan. It's gonna be great, you guys. This is gonna go good. We'll lure him at the parade somehow. I guess they assumed that he must have already been in her closet when her and her sister talked about the parade. Otherwise, their plan is just, I'll go to the parade.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably not, like, police in the town or anyone that they could go to, because they don't want to tell anybody because they hit the guy and killed him. But he's obviously... Yeah. But now they assume he's back, so whatever. Okay. So
they don't assume it's him. It's someone. It's probably this Billy Blue character.
That's right. They don't think
John,
it's him.
Be fair. There is one police officer in this town.
That's true. By the way, go ahead.
The police officer to fisherman ratio of this town is as it should be.
1 to 1,000.
Yeah, 1,000 fishermen for every one police officer. Just like in the way the world should be and would be better if.
Oh my god.
So yeah, that's the plan. They're gonna lure him at the horrible parade. Oh, horrible parade. It's a 4th of July parade. It has 2 floats.
2 floats, 1 high school marching band, and a lot of people with slickers walking around.
Oh, it's just primarily attended by people wearing slickers. It's like the official costume.
The entire town is full of sexy teenagers and guys in slickers.
So yeah, and so we found out now that every single summer, these summer days that we're having, they've all been on the 4th of July. It's just a 4th-y, July-ish, except one time it happened on the 5th of July. The first night, I guess it was after midnight, so technically the 5th.
That's right. It's 4th-ish.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Oh god. So okay, so they're in the stupid parade, or Helen's in the parade. Barry is just riding on the float because he's going to attack the killer when they see him.
Yeah, he's not in costume, he's just the guy sitting on the front of the float.
He's just some lunkhead on the float. So they're riding through, and Gellar's giving the parade wave, and they're going through the town, and she sees some guy in a slicker, and immediately starts screaming, in the middle of a parade. There he is, go get him. So Barry takes off after him, chases him off into the distance, and then we cut back to the Texas Chainsaw house again. Julie has returned to the house, and she's walking up to the house. She gets into the backyard. There's animal pelts all hanging all over the fence, and that's where the stupid turkey is, right? It's in that scene. Yeah.
A scene full of dead animals. There are just dead animals all over the place.
Lead Belly is playing. And,
Yes.
she walks up. Missy comes out, and she's there to ID Billy Blue. That's the plan.
She brought the yearbook.
Yeah, that's right. She brought the yearbook. Missy comes out. I don't think they get much further than that. I think she gets startled by Missy, and then they cut back to the parade. They don't get very far, and they cut back to the parade, basically. So it's like more slickery business going on in the parade, and then whatever.
Missy comes out with a bloody knife, and it scares Julie. Julie, of course, screams at her, and Missy's like, "What are you doing here? What's happening?"
So it's so weird the way she plays that character. Like, half the time she speaks with a drawl, half the time she doesn't, half the time she's menacing, half the time she's really friendly, and it's not done right. It's like she just is sometimes one way, sometimes the other.
Yep.
It's very, very odd. And so she tells what the fuck's her name, Julie, that David Egan killed himself, and because he was upset that the town had blamed him for Susie's death, and that he wrote a suicide note, another last summer note, like basically it said, "I know what happened there." It's another "I know what you did last summer" note. It was stupid. Mm-hmm. Which Julie is like, "That's a death threat. That's not a suicide note." I was like, where are we going with this? This is fucking so bad. None of this needs to happen. And David didn't have a Susie tattoo. That was someone else. So ultimately at this point, Anne Heche is just like a whole other monster movie just tucked into this movie. That's all she is. She's like another movie idea just stamped on this one temporarily and then taken out. Useless. Just totally useless. That whole thing is a big diversion that isn't interesting. It's not followable. It makes no sense at all. It's just a total waste of screen time. Yep.
And she's supposed to be like menacing the whole time it's going on. She's like ruining fish with a knife. and like, I think there's supposed to be an element of, like, we're supposed to have sympathy, and, like, that's part of Julie's deal, is, like, we didn't just kill him, we ruined everyone's lives. But it's just, it goes nowhere. I mean, Anne Heche's character is the only periphery character that doesn't get murdered.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. She has no function in this movie at all. She's supposed to be there to move the plot along, which it doesn't move at all. It never moves, and it goes nowhere.
Yeah, because it was all just a big red herring. Fishing town.
So back to the retro summer pageant. We're now at this year's summer pageant. Helen is sitting in because she's going to officiate, just like the previous year when the previous person won and was not there officiating.
And all of the contestants are just all of the contestants from last year minus Sarah Michelle Gellar,
who's now sitting in like this giant like Game of Thrones clamshell chair thing, like Neptune's throne. And then a moment that I have to admit was actually kind of funny. This girl comes out and starts singing. And she sings, I can't remember what the song was. It was really bad. And she... Baby, can't you see? Yeah, that's all right. And Helen's like looking at her, and then she goes, Jesus. That was great.
It was a very Donnie Darko toned moment.
It was probably the only genuinely funny moment in the entire film. And it wasn't that funny. It's just the movie was just... Yeah, it was so dry that came off as, like, absolute hilarity. So, yeah.
We were just so hungry for it that it was just good to have it there.
Jesus. Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, good. I can breathe again.
Helen looks up on the balcony. There's Barry up there. He's watching. He's going to keep her safe, right? And of course, there's a slicker wet shows up behind him. Liquor wet shows up behind him. Helen sees it. More pointy screaming, and then
pointy screaming. She's much better at screaming as far as like a believable character and not just a horrible weapon.
And then he gets what I refer to as super gaffed on the balcony, just gaffed repeatedly to his death. And then she freaks out. A cop shows up. She takes the cop up to the balcony. She's going to show him, that her boyfriend's been murdered. It's terrible, all this stuff. They get up there, and there's no sign. There's no blood anywhere. Nothing's knocked over. No body. No one saw anything. And then the cop thinks she's nuts. They all leave, and then you see blood dripping off of the handrail. Okay. We know what happened. We don't need to see... You already cleaned up all the blood. There's no point in seeing that one little droplet of blood.
The director was probably worried. He was like, well, maybe they'll think that he wasn't killed.
If I put that drop, that'll tie them back down to the plot.
Yeah. It'll build tension.
Fucking jack off. So... And then actually another good moment, the official from the pageant is there as well, and she's holding the tiara or the crown, and he takes it away from her and he says, "We'll be needing this back."
Yeah. I've got to say, basically everything surrounding Sarah Michelle Gellar's character is the spotlight of this movie. If anything good about this movie is in that little sphere.
That's true. She is... If there's any life in this movie, it's her.
Yeah, that and Hewlett-Packard screaming.
Yes, exactly. So he takes the crown. Oh, great. And then she's getting a ride home by the cop, and there's a fake roadblock. I mean, it's an actual roadblock, but it's obviously been a setup, and he's a complete idiot and falls for it. And she immediately gets upset with him and calls him a little shit stick Mayberry-ass reject. She's on a roll at this point.
Yeah, I love that.
That was a great line. And they come across, in the middle of an alley, darkened alley, they come across a broken down car with the hood up. It's so ridiculous. And he's like, just gonna get out and see what's going on here. So the cop gets out and walks over, and of course he gets gaffed.
Yep.
Slicker is there. And she gets chased on foot because she was apparently locked inside the car. She had to kick the window out and jump out the window.
Yeah, she was riding with the police officer in the back, which you can't open from the inside. Yeah, but famously a beauty pageant grade young woman could probably just kick that window out in an emergency.
Yeah, kick out a bulletproof window.
Yeah.
With bare feet, I think, if I remember correctly, or else she's wearing those pumps.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and she has to climb out through the window, through the broken window, and just plop out onto glass and keep running. Because honestly, her character is a little bit of a badass. Earlier in the movie, they're like, "No, you do it. No, you do it," with the dead body, and she's like, "Ugh, fine, I'll do it. You all suck."
I know, I always have to move the dead body. She even slips in the glass. I remember when she got up, she slipped in the glass. So I guess she's wearing those pumps at that point, because later on she's getting chased. She's barefoot, but she gets chased all the way back to the Shivers store, and she's banging on the door, trying to get in, trying to get her sister's attention. And Elsa is, I don't know what her deal is. She's taking her time, all right, okay, come up, get the keys, whatever, It's I mean, she's hysterically banging on please let me in, begging, and her sister's I'll let her in, I guess, whatever.
Yeah, she even yells, "I'm being attacked," come on. She's like, "No, you're just my dumb sister."
So she lets her sister in, and turns out Elsa's in there rocking it out to Hoover Phonic.
It's just the music selection in this is all over the place, but almost exclusively bad.
It's so weird. So she's in the store. She's there with her sister. You know, I forget exactly how it works out, but her sister gets gaffed.
Yeah.
I don't remember how he gets in. He just gets
There's
in.
another door.
Yeah, there's the secret gaff hatch. I don't know.
Yeah, the gaffer's entrance.
So he gaffs Elsa. Great. And then she gets chased through the like down into this basement area with all the steam pipes and hooks and like mannequins with plastic sheeting, and she hides among the mannequins and then stands there, and of course he's somehow magically got down there before her and is under the plastic sheet and jump attacks her, which is stupid. But then there's the whole thing where she tries to do like a pulley ladder thing, and that doesn't work. And then she jumps out of a window into trash like every bad movie ever made.
It's so hard to follow, too. It's like, wait, what's happening?
Like,
they're doing what?
I thought they were in the basement, and now she's in the attic. Like, was it that ladder thing? She climbed that, or?
I don't know. Like, it's a pulley system? And then there's just 1,000 old tires?
Yes, that's right. She gets out of the dumpster and barefoot runs through a very stylishly lit alley with hundreds of tires just stacked along the walls. All the way up to the street, right up to where the parade is. And she's running barefoot on her way up towards the parade to safety, and Gaff is waiting for her in a little recess in the tires. And he fucking gaffs her. Completely murders her. Yeah. Which, okay, that happened. That's she got gaffed in Tire Alley. And during the fourth, and there's the end of that queen is down.
It's like a whole, like, do you remember the alley fight scene in They Live?
Yes.
It's like that size of an alley. It's huge. Like, you could have a really cool concert back there, and it's just full of tires.
There's a lot of tires in that alley.
I don't understand this town.
Apparently it's a fishing and tire town.
Yeah, it's got it, like, it had to, like, run bootleg through there. Like, the fact that it has, like, an underground infrastructure like that, there's gotta be some weird shit going down in this town. One cop. It's a one-cop town.
Yeah, it's a no-cop town now. And, it's, I mean, the town is 10 times more interesting than anything that happens inside of it. It's just...
Yeah. Yeah, they're like... That's true, yeah. They've got 2 floats, 1 marching band, let's have a parade, and shut down the whole main street all the way until tomorrow night. Like, they just abandoned the parade with the street still shut down. Whoever was in charge of opening back up again didn't, and the cop was like, oh, we'll have to go around.
Yeah, that's right. But it's okay because they have a full-size, full-service boxing gym.
Yes, man, it is state of the art too. So after all this, Julie goes to look for Ray. I don't know why, and finds him on his boat, and they're gonna like escape this town together. But then she notices on the side of his boat where a boat has its name, and the name of his boat is the Billy Blue. Oh, and then she's like, "Oh, it was you all along. You're Billy Blue. I'm putting all of the clue pieces together." And I'm like, "What?" Like, it was only going back and like having to write notes for this that I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess so. They were talking about Billy Blue, and it does say that on the boat, but it's dumb." And so she runs away from him, and he chases her, and he's like, "Wait!" And then out of nowhere, while he's chasing her, an arm just reaches out and clotheslines his ass, and he just he expires on the ground. Like, he is just instantly paralyzed from the eyebrows down.
He rotates around the arm.
Massive... Yeah, it's just... He curves around the side. And this giant, horrible fisherman, I think wearing a slicker, is the one what did it to him. And the fisherman's like, "Oh, go hide in my boat." And so she goes to hide in his boat. She's like, "Oh, thank God this huge, terrifying fisherman saved me from my weaselly ex-boyfriend." And she goes to hide on his boat. He's doing stuff outside. And she, like, starts snooping around in his shit and then sees that he has, like, a whole compartment of his boat is just a weird shrine to them. And he's been, like, taking pictures of them. And it's basically the museum of their summer in there. And she's like, "Oh." And then he, like, looms in the doorway and they have the worst conversation. He's like, "Are you in trouble?" And she's like, "I think I am." And then it's not porn.
Yes. Clothes all remain on.
Oh, man. And so then she realizes it's him and puts all the pieces together that it turns out he's got the tattoo that says Susie and he's her brother or something, and he's the guy that they hit with the car and wrecked the face of. Like, his face was in shreds, and now he's just fine. He's just some dude. He's not, like, all scarred up. He's not particularly scary looking or memorable even. Yeah. So, and yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just put that together. Okay. I was like, what happened to the fucking guy that was sitting on the cliff? I got it. Okay.
Yeah, well, maybe he pushed that guy off the cliff.
Yeah, apparently he killed him.
Maybe not.
To use his body as a... But he wasn't there. He was down at the fucking marina. So...
No. He pushed David Egan off the cliff a year before.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that's what we were...
Right?
I don't know now.
Or was it the same night? Oh, you're right. It was the same night. No. I'm getting that mixed up. So yeah, he was probably out there in the middle of pushing David Egan off the cliff.
Oh, okay.
When he got hit by the car.
Oh, so he probably had already pushed him off and then got hit by a car.
Yeah.
And then taken down.
Yeah.
But then they said that Egan washed up. That's why Egan washed up, because he pushed him off the cliff that they could have just as easily thrown him off of. Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. Wow. Okay, so why is Ray's boat called Billy Blue?
Why is Ray's boat called Billy Blue?
That's the boat that he was fishing on. That's what Susie... No, not Susie. That's what Misty had, like, mentioned. But I thought she said Billy Blue was a person. The guy that was sweet on her.
It was the guy that came around. Yeah, he was sweet on her. He came around. He was sad. Like, he was sweet on her, but it was just too much to be around David's stuff. Yeah. Or, like, maybe he thought it was creepy that he was sniffing around his dead friend's sister or whatever. I don't know. They don't ever confirm that Ray is Billy Blue, that he, like, came around and said his name was Billy Blue. Maybe that was the connection that was supposed to be made, is that he was faking his name because he didn't want his rich friends to know or something, because he's a fisherman, but he's hanging out. I don't know.
That is way too convoluted. Like, what? That is bad writing. Like, real bad writing. It makes no sense. We've both watched it several times, and it still makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
Wow. It's even worse than I thought, the more I think about it. That's remarkable. It's remarkably bad.
And worse than making no sense, it has no impact, like, on me as a viewer. I was not, like whenever it was the reveal, like, the reveal was such just nothing. It was.
We don't know who this guy is.
Pin drop. Nothing.
He means nothing to us. He's not even wearing a fucking slicker anymore. Like, he doesn't even look like the killer anymore. He's just some old man on a shitty boat with some ugly, like, stupid, like, connect-the-dots shrine in his basement or whatever, in a boat full of the fakest ice I've ever seen. It's just like...
Not wet ice. And it's just like such a dumb non-reveal. It's just the worst. Even the, like, so this was one of the 3 big franchises of this type of movie with, like, so you've got Scream, you've got I Know What You Did Last Summer, and you've got Urban Legend. Like, Urban Legend is also not very good, but at least it was, like, a kind of a surprise when you reveal who the killer is. Like, this is just like, what? No.
That's fine.
No, I instantly do not care.
At least Final Destinations, those series had the cool creative deaths.
Mm-hmm.
This movie just didn't even have that.
Nothing. So now they have to fight, and it turns out that this dude's fishing boat is very similar to the Shivers basement / attic / pulley system. His name is Ben Willis. Her name was Susie Willis. So fucking dumb. He's fine. He's not scary. So Ray ends up catching up to this boat that we see him push the boat at full speed. He pushes the boat to accelerate so fast that it knocks Julie over. She, like, falls over and screams, and he, like, giggles at her. And meanwhile, Ray is in, like, a little, like, putter along canoe and catches up to them and jumps from the fucking little motorboat and lands on the fucking fishing boat. It's the
Sweet Susie.
The Sweet Susie. That's right. That's the name of the boat. He jumps on the Sweet Susie. They all start fighting, and at one point, Julie screams to the point that it distracts Ray long enough that the fisherman dude can knock him off the boat. I don't know. And she ends up in, like, the basement of the boat, and there's all kinds of different pulley systems, and it's like they're playing a weird peekaboo, Scooby-Doo, cat and mouse game on the boat, and then Ray catches back up. Julie is just useless. She ends up, like, flopping around in the piles of fake ice that you mentioned, and finds Helen and Barry's corpses hiding in there, and screams
but not Max's.
At them. Yeah, not Max's.
Because we already saw his corpse. We don't need to see him again.
Yeah. Also, not Helen's sister, because they aren't the special ones. He didn't want to keep them around for later. He didn't want the leftovers. And so she just screams directly in their face like she's mad at them. And she rejoins the fight, just the battle taking place on the ship, and they end up, like, doing, like, stuff with the sails and the pulleys and everything, and he has his gaff and he raises it up, but it gets hooked on a rope, and then fucking Ray, like, pushes the lever and it hoists him up into the air, but all the way onto the pulley, so then it cuts his hand still grasping the gaff hook off and lowers him back down, and now he's got a bloody stump, and his fucking hand just, like, boing, shoots across the boat, and he falls into the ocean. And then they, like, make up all smoochies and talk. They're like, well, at least we didn't kill him last summer. What?
Yeah, I know. What the hell was that about?
You just fucking killed his ass now.
We're good people.
Yeah, you still committed a crime. It's still a hit and run. You're not the hero now. You're still bad.
You knocked him 75 feet around a corner.
And he says a dumb thing. He's got this, like, line in there about don't leave a dead body until you know that they're dead, or something dumb and unmemorable and just ugh. And so then the I guess the next town over police or the sheriff, the county sheriff or something, shows up and they're just like, oh yeah, I'm sure he's bad, he'll turn up. And now his fucking hand is still holding the gaff hook and it's just like caught in the neck, and they're like, we'll find the rest of him in tomorrow probably.
That's right. Oh my god. You remember when she's doing the smoochy part with him and he says, no one gets me like you do. And then she says, I understand your pain.
So fucking gross.
I understand your pain.
Oh, it's so whatever. Yeah, she's like, oh, it's fine. I don't even see fish.
Oh my god.
And then it moves later. She is now in a state-of-the-art showering facility, wearing a towel that accentuates her bosoms, and is just walking around talking on the phone all cute to a boy. What? A towel? No, don't be gross. And just like having that kind of conversation. And then like there's like this woo, like whooshy in the background, and we're like, oh, it's nothing. And then she sees in the mirror that someone has written in the steam, I still know. And then something jumps through the mirror and she screams while glass is breaking, and that's the end.
It's like, yeah, it's like a 3D thing. Like he jumps at the camera basically through the glass. It's like a super stylized cut shot that's supposed to just startle you, except it's completely out of place with the rest of the movie. But remember, there's the little mini red herring where you see someone walk by and then the note, someone brought a note, and the note is like, some bullshit.
Someone's wedding or something dumb.
Yeah, party in the whatever. Oh, yeah. And then she turns around and then she sees the mirror and oh my god, it's so fucking bad.
And that's that. Yeah.
I also like when she's talking on the giant cell phone and she says to Ray, she says, "No, no, you, no, you're gonna ravage me in 2 weeks anyway."
Oh, gross!
It's really gross.
Oh, that is, and it's just like that is. It's like some 40-year-old bald fat dude wrote that line. He was like, "Yeah, we're gonna make her write. Oh, yeah, she's gonna say it."
Oh, ravage! I need to take a spank break.
Man, yeah, whoever was filming this movie was just cranking it out constantly. It's really distractingly gross how objectified these very young women. Like, everyone looks great in this movie, but like you could really see like, oh, like that's like a little child. Jennifer Love Hewitt. Like, yikes.
She happens to be well endowed, and she's pretty enough. I mean, she just looks like a nice young lady, but they have to present her as this sexual object. I mean, they try to do it with Sarah Michelle Gellar, but that's not really neither one of them are really that kind of a person, really. So to present them that way and to know that it's being, we talk about this stuff all the time, but it's just so prevalent, it's like, it's not that I didn't notice this stuff before, but now, like separated by several years and all that, to look back on it and just, it's so gross. It's just like,
yeah,
it's like the girl showering in The Empty Man, or, I mean, all these movies share so many elements, like, things that pop up like Honeydew, or they like but it's been done a million times. You knock on the door and pretend like my car broke down, I have to use the phone. Like, yeah. That's probably been done 1,000 times before. Or the shitty boat. Like, someone always has a shitty boat that's like, looks like somebody detonated a grenade in it, but that's where they live. And and then there's stuff like, he wears, the whole movie, we identify him because he's wearing a slicker, which you would assume would be to hide his identity, except no one fucking knows who he is, so it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
No one seems to remember that Susie even had a fucking brother. So he's covered there. No reason to wear a slicker. That's hiding him from us, not them. And then at the end of the movie, he's not wearing one. Why? Because they want you to know what he looks like. It doesn't matter what he looks like. It's not relevant. Why? Don't even have him speak. Don't give him a personality. Just have him, maybe they know who he is, but he never talks or something. He's some, he was never the same after Susie died or whatever, But instead, they give you all this stupid misdirection, which isn't interesting and doesn't lead you to believe anything. You're just waiting for it to land on something. And that where it lands is on this fucking guy that no one cares about, and he's not scary. He's just some old asshole whose only move, to be fair, is a really good gaff shot. I mean, a really good clothesline.
Yeah.
That dude.
Yeah.
He's got that down.
Yeah. He did a great job of it. Lowest energy move, that's what makes it so cool, is you put so little into it, but for such a big result. That is Fonzie level, assault.
Yeah, kudos to Billy, whatever his name was, Willis or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Ben Willis.
Oh, Ben Willis. Yeah, Ben Willis, the psychotic murderer.
Yeah.
Because he got hit by a car, but he was really upset ultimately because of his sister, which had nothing to do with anything. They just needed some sort of reason why he was there.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I mean, Lois Duncan's pretty well known. I don't know anything about that book. I'm sure it's a bastardization of the book, but I hope the book is better than that, because that script is a mess.
When you break it all down and analyze it, you can see the story elements that would be put together for possibly an okay book. Like all of the pieces are there. It's just this movie put them together in the worst way possible. Like, the movie was distracted. Like, it was too busy looking at hot teens to do the movie, do the cool plot thing. Yeah, but what if instead we just showed hot teens?
It's so funny because there's a lot of people, before we recorded, I had sent you a copy of a review that I read on Google, just like a user review that anybody can put up there. And it was some girl, woman, whatever, who'd watched the movie, and the first line of her review was, "This is the best movie I've ever seen in my entire life," which I immediately thought was a joke. And my immediate thought was, this is going to be like those Amazon comment sections for the banana slicer, where it's 10,000 reviews, and they're all everybody's just making jokes. It's just an endless chain joke of fake reviews. That's what I thought that was. But no, it was legit. This person actually thought that was the best movie they'd ever seen in their entire life. How?
Nope.
It's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even if you're into half naked teens, you don't even get that much of that. No. The only nipples you see in this movie are Ryan Phillippe.
Yeah, you see the Phillippe nipples.
Phillippe.
Ryan Phil Nipley.
Yeah, it's just so altogether incompetently just bad. There is some enjoyability there for a nostalgia factor. If you were of a certain age when this movie came out, you're like, oh man, I'm gonna go watch this movie bounce around for a while. Sure, there's that, and it was part of a prominent movement in the return of slashers. That Scream started. It has some very strong gialli tones to it that they didn't really deliver on, and it just had so much going that it could have been good, and then it wasn't.
It was just real bad. The 90s, it's got to be an age thing. I mean, we always have fondness for stuff that we experience as kids, and so there's a whole generation of people who grew up as children in the 90s who, this was their go-to stuff. It's not like they thought it was high art. They just really like it, and it's like comfort food for them. That I totally understand. I mean, I'm older than the people in the movie, so it's certainly not targeting me. When it came out, I was already like, I had zero interest in the movie. The only reason I saw it was because it was on cable, and I was like, I'll watch it, whatever. And it became one of those movies where it's like, I mean, I remember it. It sticks in your head, but not for good reasons. It's a bad movie. It's actually, the more we talk about it, I realize how bad it actually is.
Yeah. It was funny when you suggested it, you talked about it as a movie that you knew wasn't good, and there was even a little part of me that was like, I don't know. I remember watching that movie and enjoying it, and then I watched it again I was like, oh wow, yeah, this is trash.
It's just not good.
Yeah.
It's not even really that much fun to watch. Maybe once. You see it once, it might be fun, especially if, you have the same kind of reactions that we would have, where it's just ridiculous. It's another movie that would maybe be a fun party movie, with your friends, just to make fun of and not watch too closely and just kind of have a good time. But as far as a horror movie goes, and to be taken seriously in any way in the canon of American horror, this movie does not deserve to even be considered. It's because it has a bit of a budget. It's based on a famous writer's book. The screenplay is criminally bad for a guy who struck the ultimate gold with his first screenplay. To transition from that to this, an adaptation of a story he didn't even have to come up with, and he still destroyed it. I mean, that's rough.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot to not like about this. Oh shit! What was I gonna say? It's weird that it could have been so good, and it's for me, like, it's hard to actually not like it because I do like these actors so much. Not Ryan Phillippe, but like I had a teenage crush on Sarah Michelle Gellar and on Jennifer Love Hewitt, and I think Freddy Prinze Jr. is great. I really, still to this day, I love Sarah Michelle Gellar. I like their social media presence and that they do silly stuff. Like sometimes she finds a sharp stick and they'll make her do a Buffy pose just while they're out on a walk. That's great. She's pretty cool, but it's just trash. It's so poorly put together in every way. They did, like you said, they put a budget into it. The movie is superior to most of what we watch as far as lighting and cinematography and just basic practical effects and blocking. It's all done great. But whenever it came down to the acting artistry and storytelling artistry, it just laid an egg.
I mean, even the quality of the picture is very high. I mean, it was shot, it was shot on film. It was, as you said, it was well lit. I mean, they had the money they needed to make it look good, and it looks good, but it doesn't look appealing necessarily. The aesthetic is just, there isn't one. It's very cold and dry. It's just a seaside setting, and you've got your kind of stereotypical, setup situations. A couple settings that could have been really cool, but just weren't used right, and I think that's just a lack of creativity on the director's part. And again, I don't know what kind of pressure these, they were under making this as a studio film. It's not meant to be a labor of love. It's not that kind of a movie, so the studio probably feels as though they're perfectly okay to take total control over how this movie comes out.
Yeah.
So I think that plays into it. I mean, having said that, as a viewer, I may have sympathy for the people who made it, but it doesn't make the movie any better.
That's true. Yeah. This movie is professionally made, but not artistically made.
Yeah, it's very, it has no soul to it. It's unfortunate because it could. Yeah. Seaside settings are atmospheric, that could well be why Lois Duncan picked it, because those are kind of mythological places, maybe not for people who grew up in one, but for the rest of us who didn't, we have all these kind of ideas attached to locations like a seaside town or, these ideas of like rich kids versus poor kids, which is there, but never goes anywhere. Yeah. And then like the whole story of this extremely convoluted story of this guy who's upset because his beloved sister died, and he was on the cliff to kill this dude, but then he just happened to get hit by a car, and now he's going to get his revenge. It just makes no sense. And, you know, like, Michael Myers doesn't make any sense either, you know? It's like he just goes apeshit and kills his sister and then chases Jamie Lee Curtis around for decades. Like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense either. And you know what? It doesn't fucking matter. It's still great. You know, but this movie has none of, like, something somewhere has to coalesce to make it work, and it's just pretty shots and well-lit beach scenes and handsome actors or whatever is just not enough. It's just not.
Yeah. And as far as, like, a franchise slasher villain goes, it's the worst. Like, every single, like, you were talking about, like, Jason. Yeah, like Jason, but he was like a freaking thing, you know? It was like more of a creature, or, you know, Freddy Krueger, like, okay, yeah, he can get away with that. He has dream magic. Michael Myers, he's a crazy giant strong serial killer that does not talk. Like, there's some element, but this is just some guy, and somehow, like, he just can fuck with continuity. His magic powers continuity errors. He's just
an angry man who, you know. Well, okay, that's the other thing. Okay, how old? Okay, he's Susie's brother. When did Susie die? Like a year before? Is that when Susie died?
It was 1 year before they hit him with a car.
So, her brother is what, 70? Like, how old? He's like 60 years old or something. That's...
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they pick a guy that was closer to her in age? That doesn't make any sense.
He's just they're like big old motherfucker.
Who lives in some shitty boat and no one knows who he is. No one's like, oh, remember that Ben Willis guy? Man, he went weird, didn't he? I heard he lives down in the dock in that dump boat, you know? Like, he's still fishing. So if he's still fishing, he can apparently purchase ice to keep the fish that he catches and sells at the dock. So somebody must know who the fucking guy is. But nope, nobody knows who he is. He's just the strong-armed old killer who's decades older than his sister who died 2 summers ago.
Yep. He just got completely obliterated by a high-speed BMW and pretended to drown. And then just got out of his boat and waited a year.
Suffered terrible injuries, but as it turns out was 100% fine.
Yeah.
No scars, no nothing.
And that whole time, his big plan, obviously, the thing that he was like, looking forward to, was shoving Max's dead body into the trunk with crabs. That was his, like, my big plan, finally it's all coming to fruition. And then that was over, and he was like, well, now what am I gonna do? I guess now I can kill him.
I mean, I will give the movie credit. It pretty much mercilessly killed off everybody except for 2, but, you know. It killed off the Ryan Phillippe character and the Sarah Michelle Gellar character, and it was pretty unceremonious about it. There wasn't a lot of hand-wringing or, you know, like, J-Love lost her shit when she saw them, but she wasn't really that worried about it. Afterwards, she was all kissy-kissy with Ray, and everything was fine.
Yeah, thank God my future's not worse for having murdered someone.
I do kind of like that. It was accidentally nihilistic.
Yeah.
The accidental nihilist.
I gave this movie 2.1 out of 5 loathsome things. It's almost there in some ways. It's in a very, like, I gotta hand it to the crew of this, the filming crew that did the work behind this. You made a movie that looks okay, and you probably weren't paid a lot. So good job. It looks okay. You made a successful movie that paid off, And you ended up even paying the Weinstein brothers some money because they sued this movie for their marketing practices. Good.
Oh, God. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie made a ton of money. I mean, it's a Hollywood film, so it would have been expensive just because of that. But you know, in comparison to a big-budget film, this is not a big-budget film. For Hollywood, this is a no-brainer. Throw some well-known, attractive young people in the movie, make it a slasher, and it's pretty much gold. I mean, you're gonna rake in the cash. And this one was probably even more successful. It was probably like as successful as they would have dreamed that they could be. It was this movie made a lot of money. I don't know what its box office take was, but it had to be at least profitable. I mean,
oh yeah, it was massively profitable. Like it wasn't, like Star Wars money, but it was like they made plenty of money.
So, and they went back and, made more. So, I mean, they continued to be successful up until a point, and I guess the idea resonated enough, as we had said early on, to spawn off an Amazon series, failed Amazon series that I won't watch, but
yeah, no point.
I gave it a 1.75. I just couldn't even give it a 2. I just couldn't do it. A 2 just sounded too nice, too close to halfway there. I was like, I can't do it. I liked this movie more. I recommended this movie because I knew it would be funny to talk about, which it was, and I knew, as we had mentioned, we talked about some real bangers in the last few weeks, and
MASH.
As much as I, ultimately would probably like to say nice things about a film, sometimes it's fun to just kind of take one, just be goofy and rip it. But having said that, I remembered this movie, even though I thought it was bad, more fondly than I think of it now that I've seen it way more than I need to. Like, I'm pretty much just done with this movie. I will not watch this movie again.
Yeah. It's definitely a movie to watch passively and not a movie to pay attention to and critically analyze.
Yeah. Maybe one day I'll come back and listen to this episode and I'll be like, it's pretty funny. Maybe I need to see it, but and then I know I'm going to be like, that was a mistake.
So that is in total a 3.85 from us. And some fun facts. We meant it was filmed on a budget of $17 million, and its box office. So $17 million, box office $125 million.
$250 million.
Whoa. Yep.
That's insane.
Yep.
17 million was the budget. That's nothing for Hollywood.
Oh yeah, no. So this movie made almost 10 times what it cost to make.
As a studio, that's a no-brainer. I mean,
let's make more.
If anything, even if you hate movies like that as a studio, you got to put some of those in there, because then it can fund your projects you actually want to make. That you're gonna take a hit on, like, I want to make that new Terrence Malick film, that'll earn $3, so I'll pay for it with this rerun McGillicuddy movie or whatever that guy's name is. It'll be great.
Yeah. So it's like, all right, let's make another one. Well, what are we gonna do? We killed off Ryan Phillippe and Sarah Michelle Gellar. Oh, we'll replace them with Brandy and Mekhi Phifer. Definitely bring back Muse Watson, the
killer.
Hooked killer guy.
By the way, I have seen that movie.
Really? Why?
Yes. It was on cable, and I watched it. It was. I think that's the one that culminates in the hula like Hawaiian like cabana scene where they're being attacked. They're being besieged during a hurricane or something in like a luau shed or so. It's really bad.
Wow. That one's directed by Danny Cannon, the guy that directed the 1995 Judge Dredd movie.
Wow. Yeah. It's probably better than this movie.
Yeah. Probably.
Wow.
Yeah. He is still directing mostly television now. He's directing like the CW's like Batman TV show dramas. So
he's still working.
Still kind of got Dawson's Creek adjacent for him.
I always feel bad when we rag on stuff because I love movies and ultimately these people are making entertainment. Even if they're not stupid, they know that they didn't just they did not just make the new Citizen Kane. They're not, they know exactly what they made.
Yeah, some money,
and it looks like they had It looks like they had a lot of fun. They obviously made a lot of money. I mean, it's kind of hard to argue with that. But as a fan of horror films, and we obviously have shown you the kind of movies that we like, it can be pretty broad. Just
pretty broad.
This just missed it. This missed the mark.
John, who's the motherfucking asshole?
Oh, wow. It's got to be Barry.
Barry?
Right? Or is it Max? Is it Max?
Or
Elsa.
Oh.
God, this is a tough call.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's Jim Gillespie.
I'm gonna go with that, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Jim Gillespie, fuck you.
Yeah, don't come on our show, please.
Don't worry, we're gonna tag you in everything we post.
At Jim Gillespie. The real Jim Gillespie.
Oh my God.
Speaking of such things, reach out to us on Twitter and Instagram at LoathsomePod, Facebook at LoathsomePodcast, or email us at loathsomethings@gmail.com. And, God, y'all should watch better movies than this.
But do get in touch. Tell us why you love or hate us, and both, and recommend, and all the good stuff. Give us a rating on your favorite pod service. It helps bring more listeners in.
Yeah. Theoretically.
Well, that's the idea, is that it puts it before more people's eyes anyway.
Yeah, that's the idea. We're not sure that it's true. Help us with an experiment.
I'm sorry that you all have to die.